Hello and a warm welcome to the first video in the module GM1. Now GM stands for geometry and measure, so we're looking at shapes and angles and all that kind of thing. And this first one we're going to look at angles in parallel lines. We're going to look at the theory in the first video and then some questions in the second video. First up, what we need is a pair of parallel lines. And there we are, a pair of parallel lines. Now, how do we know they're parallel? Well, I suppose you could say it says parallel lines underneath them. But actually, it's the arrow that I was after there. The arrow on both lines mean that they are parallel. Now, let's draw a line and make some angles there. Now, in this video, we're going to look for three shapes, three letters that help us find certain things about certain angles. The first one is a Z. So we're looking for a letter Z in the lines. And there it is. Okay, so we've got that green Z, and what this means is that that angle up there and that one down there, they are the same. And they are referred to as alternate angles. We used to call them Z angles, but if we're asked to describe them in an exam now, we can't call them Z angles, we have to use the word alternate. So alternate angles are the same, and we make them from the letter Z, like that. Okay, so there it is. Let's have a look at an example. So if we're given two parallel lines and we're told that that one is 40 degrees and the question says what's the size of that angle there, the green one, we could say that is 40 degrees. And if we had to say why, we would say they are alternate angles. Now also, watch out for this. Now if that's 30, we've got a Z, so we know that one's 30. But what about that angle up there? Now let's clear some of these lines out of the way, that, and actually what we've got there are something that you did in the previous lesson, and that is angles on a straight line. Now angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees, so that means that dotted green one must be 180 take away 30, which is 150. And actually if we get our parallel lines and our Z back, then that dotted one there, that must also be 150, because the 150 and 30 are two angles on a straight line. So actually we can say that alternate or Z angles are the same. We got those two there marked with the little arcs, but we could also say that that one and that one are the same. So we can get quite a bit of information about angles just from that Z. Now, how could it be made a little bit trickier? Well, what they're going to do very often is turn the Z backwards, upside down, back to front, something like that. But can you see a backwards Z there? There it is. There's a backwards Z, and it works the same as a forward Z. We've just got that angle and that angle are the same, and we refer to those as alternate angles. So what we've got then, example 2, let's have a look. So say we've got a backwards Z. Well, given that angle is 53, and in an exam they said, work out that one there. How much is it? Yep, there's the backward Z, and that green angle will be 53 degrees. So, in summary then, we could say that again, the two white ones or the two dotted green ones are the same, and that has come from the Z shape. Good. Let's have a look at two more parallel lines, and let's have a look for another letter. Now what we're looking for this time is an F. And there we go. There's a kind of F shape. And what this tells us is that that green one and that green one, they are the same. And they are called corresponding angles. So not the sort of friendliest of words, is it, alternate and corresponding? But they are called corresponding angles. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes we have to say why angles are the same, and we need to use that word there, corresponding. Let's have a look then. There they are, corresponding angles. So example number 1. If that was 98, then that one down there, because we've got an F, there's our F, look. So that one there is also 98. Okay, so let's have a look at another example, example 2. Now, just as with the Z's, when we had the Z the right way round, back to front, and sometimes in the exam they turn them upside down, we're going to do the same again here. So we could be asked that in an exam. There's 78 up the top, look, and they want us to find out that green one. What we've got to spot is that there's an F, but this time it's backwards. But that still means we're dealing with corresponding angles, and that green one is 78 degrees. Okay, so in summary, if we've got the F shape, those two white angles are the same, but also, and just as it was with the Z angles, we've got angles on a straight line. Those two dotted green ones are also the same. Okay, so let's just see that with some numbers in. If that's 110, then that one, because there's an F like that, then that one underneath must be 110. And let's take away some lines. We'll put angles on a straight line there. There you go, look. There's 110. So though the 110 and the dotted green one are angles on a straight line, which means that that one there must be 70. And actually, we can do the same again now with that one there. That must be 70. Okay, so let's have a look at our final letter. And this one, again, we've got parallel lines and a line going between them. And this time we're looking for the letter C. And there it is. Not a very curly C, it's a bit straight one, but it looks a bit like a C, doesn't it? Now this is slightly different. We're not dealing with angles that are the same, but we know that if that green one on the top and the green one on the bottom are added, we get 180 degrees. And these are called supplementary angles. They supplement each other. So the supplementary angles are inside the C and they add up to be 180. So let's have a look at an example. If that one up there is 100 and they asked us to find that green one, we would say, okay, they add up to 180 because we've got that letter C shape like that. So the bottom one must be 180, take away 100, which is 80. Okay, so just as with the Z's and the F's, let's have a look at, can we have a backward facing letter? So we could have something where that's 115 degrees and we're asked to find that one. And we've got to notice then there's a backward facing C like that. And what do we know about the angles inside the C? They add up to 180. They're called supplementary angles. So the green one down the bottom must be 180. Take away 115. 65 degrees. So we've done Z's, we've done F's, we've done C's. And that is it. Let's have a look what we've learnt then. So we got the Z angles there. Those two angles marked A are the same. And the B's on the forward Z and the backward Z there. Then we got the F, where the angles underneath the cross bits of the F are the same, those two A's, and the B's on top are. And then the slightly different one, the bottom right, we've got the letter C, the supplementary angles, they add up to 180 degrees. And that's it for this video. The next video even is going to use all this information when we're doing some questions. So it's bye for now. Speak to you in a short time.